I have a confession. At this time of year, you might find me wandering the end caps of Target and the back-to-school aisles looking at planners. Yes, that is right, and I know it is 100% dorky, but I truly love to look at the beautiful planners and calendars that come out at this time of year, even though I rely on a digital camera for work and for home. I admit I will often buy one for myself, and maybe it's nostalgia from high school or college days, I'm not sure. I'll be the first to also admit I don't always fill in those calendars faithfully, or even follow the things I schedule. So maybe it's this: I love the idea of starting a new year with a freshly scheduled life. Can anyone relate? As back-to-school nights are kicking off at schools around the country, I am sure your schools are like ours, where they offer different planners for your middle school or high school kids to purchase. And that's good, right? My teacher friends agree that it's helpful to have their students practice managing their own time. When you list your assignments for the next day and you practice referring to that planner each night, you're setting yourself up for success. You're building a habit of taking responsibility. Adults, maybe you do this too. I'm a little extra crazy because in addition to the love of planners, I also love to keep Post-it notes that track my to-do lists. There's great satisfaction in crossing something off that list. But I can't be the first to point out to you that we also face a problem of being the most overscheduled people in the world. I chaperoned our church's high school trip this past summer, and when we talked in our small groups about the topic of feeling overwhelmed, a handful of those students talked about the stresses of being signed up for too many things that made them feel overwhelmed. You can't just do basketball, you got to do camp after camp all year long. You can't just be in the band, you need to do lessons every single week. I'm a parent myself, and I have to check myself regularly. Because even though we're tempted to sign our kids up for everything, even though we could fill all of those empty lines in Target's beautiful planners, it's truly not good for our kids or for any of us to be overscheduled. In the book of Matthew, chapter 11, Jesus has been instructing his 12 disciples. And then the Bible tells us that he goes on to teach and proclaim his message in their cities. And at the end of chapter 11, Jesus offers a prayer of thanksgiving. We read in verse 28, "Come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." See, a yoke is a tool. It's a crossbar with these U-shaped parts that would have, in Jesus' day in particular, fit around the necks of a team of oxen. It's hooked to a cart or to a plow in order to make farming easier. If you have one farmer using a hoe to till up the land, it would have taken forever. But if you have one farmer and two oxen who are yoked together, the task of plowing would have been easier. It would have been more sustainable over time. It's always going to be easy for us to fill our schedules as we start a new school year. And we could see an empty afternoon and fill it with one more thing for ourselves or for our kids, but that is not sustainable. Jesus reminds us that when we are weary, rest is important. When we feel overscheduled or overburdened, rest is necessary. Jesus reminds us to yoke on up to him, and he will sustain us.